Welcome to the B-Sides and Beers podcast.
Welcome to B-Sides and Beers, episode 91. Tonight we're talking Def Leppard and a bunch of other stuff. How's it going, guys?
Woo! Leopard.
Leopard.
That's right. It's made of leopard.
Are you kidding it?
Leopard.
It's great to be back in the lair inside of the volcano.
Yep.
In the depths of the podcast.
The depths.
Yeah, it is. It's been a long time, but it feels good to be back here. We were talking about Bobby Brown before we got on this. We've been popping it already. Yes, indeed. Are we doing drinking on this one, or what? We didn't talk about this.
I am. I don't know. If you guys don't want to, that's fine too. Ooh.
Okay.
Down like Bobby Brown.
Well, why don't we just do them quick then? Why don't we do it quick and dirty? I'll start it right now. Throwing it way back, not to episode 91, but I don't know, episode 3. Mount Begbie Brewery. Oh, can you get in there? Yes, the Powerhouse Pale Ale. There it is.
Woo!
There it is with a.
Did they ever change up the artwork, eh?
Yeah.
That is one of the most metal cans.
It's so good.
Can art. Good. Yeah, it's rad.
That's what I'm drinking. There you go. Who's up next?
Sweet.
Boom. Let's go clockwise.
Oh, I don't know if that's the same.
Depends
on my screen it's you, Dane.
Yeah, you're next on my screen.
All right. Well, I've got a Yellow Dog Play Dead IPA.
Play Dead.
Yeah, Play Dead. And because it's Thursday, I got another one. It is a rad brewing company, which is the place where I used to work, actually. They opened up
oh, no way.
brewery,
Sweet.
which is super awesome.
Rad.
Yeah, there was a brewery called Traditional. Anyway, they ripped off most of the sign and just left up the RAD, Created Rad Brewing.
Sweet.
It's awesome. The price is right and the beer is great.
Beauty.
So, there you go.
Beauty. Well, I am going sneaky. We're doing some more sneaky weasel.
Sneaky. It's still so good and so cheap.
It's amazing and it's cheap. It's like $19 for a 15 pack, and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's with Boulder Dash Brewing and Caribou. They're both great. I don't understand why they're so inexpensive, but I love that they are.
Yeah, because usually like the budget beers when we were kids was just gross,
yeah.
Right? Like you were in dire straits, right at that point. Yeah.
It's funny. I drank so much Lucky Lager
Yep.
as a youngin', and that's like the hometown favorite here. It's funny.
Sipping on a 40.
Have you had Lucky lately?
No, I have not.
I wonder if it tastes
Maybe I
like
should.
this.
It's not good.
No,
but
yeah. Expected.
Yeah,
Lucky.
that's right. Island Pride.
Yep.
Is it from the island? I didn't know that. No way.
Yeah. When I worked at the tap house, we had like all the fancy beers and a fridge full of Lucky, and we sold almost as much Lucky as we did
No way.
the expensive
Oh,
stuff.
that's like
Oh yeah, people loved
Screech
it.
of the Island. That's like the equivalent.
Oh yeah, totally.
I didn't know that. That's funny. Okay, Def Leppard, gents. Whose pick was this one?
Oh.
Okay, introduce it for us maybe then, if you don't mind. Can you give us the background and your thoughts on this band, or why you picked
Let's
this?
get rocked.
Background and thoughts. Holy cow. Okay, I had one of these like philosophical moments, and I was like, it's one of these things that you just you sort of keep out of your life on purpose because of whatever sort of, let's say, vibe that it has or notoriety. And that's what I did. And I was depriving myself of something which I love. Like, it's insane how much I'm into Def Leppard. I've been like listening to them probably a little bit after we had the Guilty Pleasures episode. which was a couple of years ago, and like it was, it's a band that's easy to laugh at, and rightfully so. It's poppy, really cheesy, but when you listen to it on really good speakers, really loud, it just does something to you. It just gives me energy, yep. And that was the gateway. And prior to that, I remember my dad having Pyromania in his car on cassette, yep. And just the cover was just it's like a building with fire coming out of the side. Yeah, yeah, and like the site, whatever you call it, it just looks so badass. And that was kind of something that that's a core memory for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just figured, I think I picked a really like a hard one to talk about jazz drummer, who's really great, by the way. And maybe one day we'll get into some Yusuf days.
Yeah.
But this one just seemed like it's got a lot to chew on. And so here we are.
Yep.
And Mike, are you a longtime listener, or are you late to the party, or are you been listening but secretly, or?
I could not, growing up the 80s, you could not listen to Def Leppard. It was just, when they're the biggest rock band in the world for like 5+ albums, almost 7 albums, riding number one, it's them and Van Halen is basically 80s, early 90s, that rock radio arena, big tours, big everything, big shows. And I was never a fan, but I never disliked it. Anytime it came on, it rocked. And that's what it was supposed to do. That's exactly what it was supposed to do. It was I can't say that I was ever really a big fan. It was just too polished for me, like in the being more into like the punk and the metal and that stuff, where it has grit to it and it has weight to it. And then, you get these super polished, this super polished band that the songs are amazing. They're very well written. And,
oh my God.
And they have this magic sprinkled on it, and it just makes you smile when it comes on. But yeah, so they've grown on me a lot. So
yeah, don't get me wrong. I think that the songwriting is unreal. That portion of it, and like the way to make a hit, they got that down, right? Like working with Mutt Lange, whatever they did there, they've got that formula down, and that worked, right? And I can't even say either that like every Def Leppard song sounded the same, because it feels like they've got a certain sound that what it is, but like that's with every band, and that's why you like that band, I think, right? Because it sounds like that. So I don't think it sounds all the same. It just is like, even growing up, it would be like, if anybody asked me what band I disliked, it'd be like Def Leppard. That would be my answer. And I was like, I tried to like figure this band out a little bit and like see if there was more to it, but like I can't peel past the cheesiness of it to see and like appreciate the songwriting for what it is, because I got to get past some oohs and some ahs and some of those and stuff. And like Mike, you mentioned the polishedness, and that's kind of what I was thinking of too, right? Like I went back again, as I usually do with these things, is the very beginning and starting on that very first, the EP, and then like the full album, right, in 80, the On Through the Night. And I was like, all right, like this is pretty good, and I'm like, who produced this? And I go and take a look at that, and what's his name? I wrote it down here. He did like Black Sabbath, he did Master of Reality, he did like every Judas Priest album, like Steve, oh man, where is it? I wrote it down here. Tom Allen, yeah. So he does this, and I'm like, okay, this sounds pretty good. And then I get to the next album, onto the High and Dry, and it's like more polished, But you can see that stuff in that first album. They want to do those harmonies. They want to do all that kind of stuff. It's there. It's not like it's like a complete 180 on them, right? But it just starts really good, and then it feels like by 83, and I know I'm jumping the gun, but this is just my overview, that they just like are like, oh, well, like the hair metal is like taking off, guys. Like, we were a heavy metal band before, like this new wave kind of British thing that we had going on, and now it's like, no, let's just go over to here and get super polished and get this guy who has a massive catalog already. The guy did like Back in Black like a couple of years before. Like, he's been around. He's done some stuff. So like, and then they like completely changed their sound, and now there's this gigantic Def Leppard arena rock monster. And I'm not knocking it for what it is, but it's just like, it kind of felt disingenuous, if you know what I mean. And then now that I kind of know more about the background, I'm like, if they would have just kind of stuck with that, maybe that would have been cooler. But like, obviously, it worked out for him, and I'm like, that's a no-brainer. So that's no problem. But like, I don't know. And then like, it just kind of like fizzles out too a little bit for me, right? Like those kind of things burn brightly, like Hysteria, Pyromania, and then it's just kind of like slow, and then a very sharp decline, and then it's just and then it just into nothingness. So sorry, that was a rambling, but that's just like my initial kind of thoughts on Def Leppard.
I honestly, I think for me it's the opposite, where I always thought Pyromania was my favorite album because that's the most metal one to me anyway, because Joe Elliott is screaming. He sounds like what's his face from Judas Priest, kind of. He's kind of going
breaking the
for
law.
Rob Halford.
Like
Rob
and
Halford.
then Hysteria comes out, and that's all right, let's make this radio friendly and make $1 billion zillion and sell Pepsi. And Hysteria is a great album. Hysteria front to back is, I think now it's my favorite for sure. So I think, the one which was contrived was Pyromania. I think they were trying to be metal, but in their hearts, they were this pop punk arena band. Pop rock.
Punk, nothing.
Pop rock. They may have paved the way for pop punk, but they were a pop rock arena band that's where they needed to be. Like the complete opposite of Guns N' Roses. Right, I said Guns N' Roses they don't know what to do on an arena stage. They're looking so awkward and running around. But Def Leppard, complete opposite. That's where they made for it. Made for it.
For sure. And it's funny that you said the pop punk because like they changed the name originally because they thought it sounded too like punk if they left it with DEAF. They thought that was too punk, so they switched it to Def.
Right.
And I was like, actually, I think it sounds more punk that way. But anyways,
I know, right? Yeah.
And then the logo kind of taking a nod from Led Zeppelin. Just the sort of flow of it was kind of cool. But
no, that logo is awesome, and the whole branding of Def Leppard is fantastic, right? And I can't deny any of that. It's just like I throw it on, and I'm like, I don't know, just doesn't do it for me. And I don't know, maybe it's from a drumming perspective too, because I've got a lot of respect for that too. But it's just like I don't know. And then I know that it's like electronic drums later on, and it just is.
They're doing.
I know, man. I know. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying
The dude had to relearn how to play drums with his foot.
Amazing.
Everything the missing arm did before, he had to do with his foot.
Yeah,
which was unreal.
Totally. When you look at this band, they are badass. Like, guy lost his arm in a car wreck. Then a couple years later, Steve Clark dies from an overdose. And like, not saying these things are good, but talk about a fucking badass band.
And to keep going after that was unreal.
Well, it's funny too, because Steve Clark, he No, Pete Willis. That's the first guy. Pete Willis. That guy is
Yeah.
in for the
Yep.
first two albums, and then he gets fired for drinking. So he's in there from 77 to 82, and then they bring in Phil Collin, who's worse
Phil Collin.
than the other guy, right? And him and Steve Clark go on benders like all the time, and that's just allowed to just happen. If I'm Pete Willis, I'm like, what the hell, man? Like,
Well,
you
difference
fired me, and then you put this guy, and then he goes on and makes Pyromania and Hysteria and $1 billion. Like, I'd be I'd be choked.
The difference is though is how they were drunk. You know, you got one guy that's a happy drunk and one guy that just wants to fight and just is a total asshole when he drinks too much. So it's like, who do you want in the band?
I guess.
You know?
I guess.
Do you want Kirk Hammett or do you want Dave Mustaine?
You got Mustaine.
Boom.
That's an interesting question, actually, though. Right now, like, who would you rather?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want my bandmate wanting to kick my butt.
Totally.
You know, I go with the happy drunk.
No, I meant
For how long
Mustaine
do
or
you-
Hammett in their
Oh.
prime. Who do you take?
Oh,
You're
Mustaine,
starting
for sure.
a band.
Mustaine, even till now.
Yeah.
Hammett's he's just kind of a knob.
He's listening to this for sure.
Oh, it's fine. He doesn't care.
He's good.
He's rich. He's a rock star. It's all good.
So I got a question for you boys.
Yep.
I sort of got stuck on this Steve Clark thing.
Yep.
First of all, I was like, how come there's like two Duff McKagans in this band?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? And Steve Clark is one of them. And like, that's that look, right?
Yep.
Like the open shirt and the long, scraggly blonde
Yeah,
hair.
totally.
Dude's got a Floyd Rose on a Les Paul
Yep.
with like
3 humbuckers and a white Les Paul custom.
3 humbuckers.
Rad.
Just like totally rad. And so he passes away in 91, I think.
Yeah, it was 91, 92. Yeah.
I'm not sure if he got on adrenaline or not, but Flip, you said like they just kind of fizzle out, and they did in a major way.
Mhm.
Like that was it. And I don't know if it was like people just got a little bit too much Def Lep, and they're like, okay, what's the 90s got?
Well, the times are changing already at that point, and when Steve died, he died before they were finished the album. So continuing on with they wanted to finish the album just to keep going as a 4-piece.
And this is adrenaline you're
Yes,
talking
yeah.
about.
So this is so they worked on that.
Sorry, that's sorry,
after
Mike.
he
That's
was gone.
Adrenalize.
Adrenalize.
Whoa. Adrenalize. Oh, you kidding it?
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so I mean, even at that point, after losing a key member that has taken them when they started off, they were really good out the gate. They're 16, 17, 18 doing this for their first, for the demo and the first album, and then with all the player changes, now you got Steve, and he takes them to another level, and then he dies. It's like, okay, well, now what? So and already now you're getting into the grunge is king and all these other angles that are taking over, right? So it's like, what people are, what do I want? What do I want? This polished thing that they've had 7 albums already, and they were one. They were battling Michael Jackson for the entire 80s for number 1, right? So it's like, I'm gonna go try something else, something that feels more real, less polished, a little more dirty. I don't know.
And they did. Slang, I think the album was called.
Yeah. That was a hard listen. That was a really hard listen.
Most of it
It was very Collective Soul.
after.
Yeah.
I found it very Collective Soul.
Yeah. A Sparkle Lounge was all right. I don't know. Did you guys get how far did you get after Adrenalize?
I did. I listened to all of those ones up to Euphoria. Sorry, I listened to X, and then when when an album was called I left.
Yeah.
I left it alone.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how many listens that's got. Yeah, not too many on that one, but Yeah, little weak. There are a couple things there too that I thought was funny. When I was doing just research on back to Steve Clark. He for the I don't know if you guys read that. He read for the audition. He played Freebird.
The entirety.
In its entirety for 9 minutes unaccompanied. Like, wouldn't you be like, "Okay, cool, man. Like, thanks. Like, we got it." You know?
Yeah.
They just sat there and just listened to the whole thing, 9 minutes of it. Thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And they also thought that Jim Steinman was supposed to do Hysteria, the guy that did the Meatloaf albums.
Okay.
No way.
He was the original producer on it, and they obviously did not see eye to eye because Jim Steinman wanted to go like loosey-goosey, and he wanted it to be all kind of off the floor, and Def Leppard did not want that. They wanted it to be a supersonic, polished wizard of an album that was going to pump up hit after hit, and that's what Mutt Lange basically did. Just said that this was going to be, like you said, Mike, or Dane.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a muddy pumping out 7 singles, like
Let's sell some Pepsi.
yeah, that kind of stuff, right? I mean, how else do you keep up with Michael Jackson than just come out with another, massive album, And you think of those two, and I think of those Mutt Lange recordings across the span of kind of the ones that we've talked about, right? Again, going back to Back in Black, massive sound on that album, right? Like put it in an arena, put it into a stadium, massive, right? This album, gigantic, right? Even I was talking about before, we were talking about Bryan Adams, back to episode 1, Waking Up the Neighbors. Massive album, sounding album too, right? Like this is all his stuff. Even Shania Twain, Come On Over, right?
Yeah.
Also big sounding. So it goes in line with all of his stuff, and it just like that's what they needed. They needed another kind of Back in Black to be that big in whatever that was, 83 when that album, 87 when that album came out. I mean, that's the height of Michael Jackson at that time, height of Madonna. That's prime time for all those, among many, many others. So, yeah.
And another thing that's crazy about that is back then, when you were talking charts, there was every music genre on the same chart. It wasn't like, oh, here's our top hip hop charts, and here's our pop charts, and here's our rock charts, and here's our it's just everybody went against. You'd have rock and pop and rap and just country, everything on the exact same list.
Yeah,
it was way better back then. I mean, when you could say I've got a number 1 or a number 2 on Billboard for X amount of weeks straight, and the only it's the Michael Jackson's the only one that's beating you, and you're a rock band or you're a country band, and you're climbing beyond all these other guys, right? It's unreal. It's like after they ended that, it's almost like everybody just gets a participation trophy, right?
The ribbon.
After that,
the ribbon.
Everyone gets a participation trophy. Hey, let's go.
Yeah.
So right now, Def Leppard is the only band from across the pond that's a contender, right? Everyone else. So we're talking about Michael Jackson. Who else? Madonna.
Gosh, who else is big in the 80s?
Well, check out the Billboard, whatever 1980 whatever Billboard charts.
Yeah, Michael Jackson, Madonna. I guess like rock is sort of coming into its own. There's Poison. There's all of the hair metal bands that are part of this scene. But
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi. Yeah. But like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden did sort of like pave the way for that sort of UK metal, and I think Def Leppard did sort of like ride on the coattails a little bit. But man, talk about like this is what I'm thinking about. Like a lot of people don't really know what a producer does.
Yeah.
And they're so integral. I mean, Mutt Lange, not only did he do, like you just mentioned, like Shania Twain, and when I read this, I had to read it twice. The most, I think, purchased female album ever?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Just no big deal.
Like, phenomenal. Like, what a phenomenal achievement. Like this guy had like the Midas touch.
Oh yeah, like you look at his resume and you're just like, whoa, like you did that album, like whoa. It's just like one of those guys, right? It's a Rick Rubin kind of thing when you go down the list.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's you're right, Dane, because like that when that does not happen at past Hysteria and Adrenalize is a new producer, he's still on it, he's still working on it, but he wasn't the producer in that album, and you can tell a definite difference in that too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just in the background vocals.
Yeah, doing tambourines and hand claps.
Whoa, whoa.
But that sound, right? That sound is like nothing else, and I'll give you that, right? Like I could come on here and throw junk on Def Leppard all day, but like I can't take away that sound. That is something that is their own, that they created or Mutt Lange created, or whatever one you want to look at it. But nobody has sounded like that since.
Yeah, it's iconic 80s.
Yeah.
Right. The only band that I was drawing like similarities with is Nickelback. Like,
yeah, I guess
different vibe, but I mean the same kind of thing, just like custom made for arenas.
Mm-hmm.
That formula that works, and regardless if you don't like them or not, I mean, like, I'm sure we've all listened to a Nickelback song and been like, that's okay, that's all right. Oh.
This is Guilty Pleasures Part 3?
No, fuck no, I'm not doing that. I will not listen to any of that.
I mean, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
like,
people dig it. I mean, it's and it crosses into a lot of other genres where you've got country fans that like a certain thing, and they latch onto Nickelback because it has that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
it all had its day in the sun during that time and during our time, right? We've talked about this in '94, for instance, right? Like everything had its time, and I keep going back to all these different groups, like everything from boy bands to country bands. You knew all those songs. You knew all those songs because they were on the collective chart that you were all on, right? And it was just on the Coca-Cola countdown, and you just went with it, right? But you heard Shania Twain. You knew all that, right? It just it wasn't because you listened to the Bear. They didn't play Shania Twain on the Bear, right? And you weren't listening to Kissin', so like you got it from Much Music. That's once again
had everything
what we
there.
come back to.
Yeah.
was that maybe that was the common denominator, was like videos, like music on television.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was a great time because you had no other access to it, and you had to, you would spend a whole day sit in front of that TV waiting for the song that you wanted to hear in whatever rotation, or this artist is putting out their new music video today, and you're just like, I gotta watch this, and then you get out of it, and then it's like, okay, when are they gonna play it again? And, you don't want to miss it because you're not going to see it again. It's not like you can just type up on the Googles and find the video on the YouTubes and just play it a billion times.
Yeah.
You had to watch. And if you missed it, you missed it.
Yeah, you were subjected to all of that.
Yeah, it was such a big culture, collective, really. I mean, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So that's why Much Music and MTV and a big thing with Def Leppard was MTV. So you're this band that comes up and nobody knows you, and then you're somehow able to get a video out, and it's still so new that now you are in the spotlight of this network and community of everybody's watching. So
Yeah.
It just that doesn't exist anymore. It feels like, right? Like don't want to sound like in our day kind of stuff, but like it just.
But it's true.
That's how you knew about all that, and that's just good or bad. But again, it's just like if you don't hear it, I put it on for the kids, and then I just switch it, and I'm just like, you didn't hear the whole song, right? I already told you that it sucked. I already gave you my opinion, right? I've already put time into this. You're not going to like this. You know what I mean? It's one of those.
Yeah, I remember
just
you
like,
saying that.
and I do it again and again in the car, and I'm just like, I got to let you hear the whole song because you got to form your own opinion as to whether it sucks, and probably it's going to suck, but Just
Yeah.
listen. Don't want to assume that you have the same musical taste as me, so just listen to it on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all. Are these guys still going? Is this still? Oh yeah, geez, 2024. Oh, Photograph.
Yeah, they're on tour with Crew and
no.
Poison.
There's still money.
Isn't
to be
Nikki
made.
Sixx like suing them or something? Isn't he like out of the band too?
No,
Mick
Mick
Mars
Mars.
is. Sorry,
Mars.
yeah, okay,
Yeah, because he's like friggin' 70.
that's right.
Yeah, Mick Mars is suing them, and Nikki Sixx is just lip syncing and not playing bass anymore. I guess he got caught for doing that a couple weeks ago or a month ago or
Yeah,
whatever. It's all backing
But
tracks and putting on a show. I guess I don't know.
Phil Collin is all like ripped now,
Yeah,
and he sorry, who's the lead singer of Motley Crue?
Vince Neil.
He was like, yeah, he was all like fat
Yeah.
and falling off the stage before they went on tour.
Yeah.
Like they're doing like a world thing right now, and Phil Collin like is getting his butt in shape,
yeah,
showing him how to like get back out there and like
yeah.
it's funny.
Little bit of Duff
But,
Duff McKagan style.
Yeah,
the regime.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
it's all about sustainability. But funny enough, I wanted to go back to the country comment because I was looking at some of the newer albums, and a lot of the tracks feature country artists,
Yeah.
which is really interesting to me.
well,
So, I mean, it's that tight jean kind of, it's that aesthetic, right? Like that same kind
but
of.
if you look back at, okay, so you've got all the hair bands, the hair metal bands, and when that collapsed, so many of those cats went to country. So
Right.
you're watching all this, hair band 80s hair metal, and then that's gone. But you switch to a country channel, and they all have got giant Marshall stacks, and they're all playing Pointy Jackson
Yeah.
guitars, and like it's the same guys. They just shifted over and put some fucking boots on and a hat, and here we
Well,
go.
they're already wearing the boots, man.
Yeah.
They're wearing the tight jeans and boots.
But it was
Maybe a couple more rips on their jeans,
it
but
was
that's
it
about
was a transition, and it worked for them, and it just I mean it's been around since the early 90s.
it's scratching and surviving, man. I think that's what it is. Like these guys can't let go. Like you think that you'd make enough from Pyromania and Hysteria to be like, cool, I'm good. We can live in wherever we want and our life is fine. But like it just is like this holding on thing that these bands do where it's like, no, they're still going with Motley Crue, and it's like,
Yeah. But
Yeah.
people are
like,
still paying.
Yeah.
stop.
People are
They
paying
can't
to
even
see
play
them.
their songs
Yeah, like
anymore.
it just kind of it's sad. It gets sad. That's how I feel.
Well, I mean, if you went on your first date listening to Crew, and they're coming to your town, and you want to drop $300 for a ticket, I mean, they're going to show up and take your money.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line.
Totally.
So, I mean, who cares if Nikki Sixx is actually playing the notes or not?
Too
I mean,
drunk to realize anyways, so it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Well, most of the people that buy those tickets are going for the $12 beers and the T-shirts, right? So they don't even care
Oh,
as long
man.
as the song's in playing background music, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
artists don't even need to play anymore. So
I was there, man. I was there.
I was there. I got the Guns N' Roses T-shirt outside. Did you go to the concert? No, I just got the T-shirt outside. And the $800 leather jacket.
Leather
man.
jacket.
Before the show even started.
Oh, man.
Okay, how much do you guys think it cost back in, what year is that for Hysteria? 1987, so whatever, they started recording it in, probably 86, 85, somewhere around there. How much do you guys think it cost for them to record that album? There's your quiz of the day.
At that time, probably around 800,000.
I'm going to say past $1 million.
$5 million.
Holy shit.
Holy shit. Is that including writers and
They
and,
just
all the
They
extravagance?
just said it was like super extravagant for the time, and like I did the math on that too. They did it in the Google machine. It's like $14 million in today's money to do this
Yeah.
album,
Yeah. That's a lot of hookers and blow.
and overdubs.
Yeah.
And overdubs,
And over,
yeah.
a lot of overdubs.
That's the new album name right there. Hookers blow
Yeah.
and overdubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably been done, but
Yeah.
we can take credit
Steel
for it.
Panther. Steel Panther maybe have done it.
Yeah.
14 million.
Yeah.
I mean, no wonder it sounds the way it
Yeah,
sounds.
when I read that, I was like,
Holy
"Oh, okay,
smokes.
well, that's probably
Yeah.
why." Like, yeah, that's what I would have thought, Mike. Probably like, or both of you guys, right around $1 million is what I thought it was going to be,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
And I thought that was like way too much, but
For that time, even. I mean, money was just worth. It was different then. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
sure. Yeah.
crazy.
Pepsi money.
I mean, that's why those backing vocals sound amazing.
Yeah.
Def Leppard's backing vocals are the best in the
Yeah,
industry.
definitely.
That's what $14 million gets.
Yep.
You're right. You're right. And it's like the polishedness of it. You can hear it in the very first song on that very first album. They've got that harmony, and it's just not quite there, but it's just kind of there, right? And then you get to that album, and it's just like, "Wah."
Yep.
Just like,
And
got so much polish on it. It's just gleaming.
well, it's funny too. I mean, even when you go to any band that recorded back then, they had real amps and they had everything was mic'd up and
Real.
Def Leppard, for the most part, their tone at that time was it was a Rockman headphone amp. And that's the sound on the album and some chorus and let's go.
I love that.
I
tone.
totally do too. And
love it.
I did so much digging for years to figure out what amps are they using, what mics were they using, what cabinets were they using. Oh, it's just this little box that you plug a guitar in one end and a headphone jack in the other end. And ta-da.
Wow.
So
Mutt Lang.
yeah, brilliant.
Lang.
Brilliant.
Can you get that on one of the mods? Have you come across that? Have you come across the Def Leppard?
Well, you can
Neural DSP.
you can track the
Pig nose.
Yeah.
you can track them down. You can track them down on eBay. I know. I think the getting guitar nerdy. The Axe Effects and the I think the Helix has something similar.
You haven't tried it though? Like
But-
you haven't come across it?
I have. Well, I haven't pursued that hard, but
Yeah.
it's a piece of gear that's been on. As soon as I found out what it was, it's like that would be cool just to have. So
Similar story with STP. I'm not sure if it was with all of the albums, but sorry, I forgot his name, but played through small little amps.
yeah,
Also Voxes, I think, but you don't need a Marshall stack in the studio, apparently.
well, you look at the first two Led Zeppelin albums. It was just a little 110 modified 110 guitar amp, and everybody thinks, oh, it's such this massive sound. Sure, they used bigger ones live because they didn't have proper, PAs weren't really invented way back when. But in the studio, it was just a tiny little, 10 watt amp, and you get magic from it, right?
Yeah.
So
That's that Phil Spector wall of sound, right? That kind of makes it sound like that.
yeah, I would guess so. I mean, it's the layering and whatnot, but
The layering. Yeah.
but still, just to get that amazing magical tone out of something so basic and tiny, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
Have you guys going ahead though in the albums here, going back to Def Leppard? I did go ahead to the raw early BBC recordings album. It came out in 2019.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys came
Yeah.
across that.
Oh, yeah.
It's taken from 1979, and it's just like it sounds like a punk album. Like the whole thing is
Yeah.
just like kind of balls to the wall for 13 songs, whatever it is. It's good. It's like going back to the old stuff, but I kind of like that, and like the first album, like the best. Like I don't know if
Okay.
that On Through the Night
just-
album, I thought it was pretty good. Like it sounds a little
It's
bit like
simple,
a
it's-
Black Sabbath record with harmonies.
Or
Yeah.
Thin Lizzy, or
Yeah.
that sort of a
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of had that darker kind of grimier feel to it. You know what I mean? And then it's just like it just slowly gets more and more polished as you get
and
closer.
still with those ones, they were under 20.
Yeah.
With those
Yeah,
out,
and
they were
that's
under 20,
amazing.
and they still they had that thing.
Yeah, and there's talent there
So,
too, right? Like, and that's the other thing.
That's the thing.
There's talent
And the stage
to make
presence.
all of this happen, right? And
the stage presence, even if it's not just the talent, like to be able to put on a show
that too.
while doing what you're doing, that's so difficult.
Yeah.
Unless you're lip syncing like most of the bands today. But
And you're paying $800 just to
yeah,
buy a sticker.
totally.
Crazy. Yeah, but that one was good. But I didn't go any deeper into the Def Leppard catalog there. It goes, what's their last, like, there's no studio albums really in here, I don't think, is there? Like, this is all just, Drastic Symphonies, that's from 2023. I take it back. There you go.
Oh, it sounds like Tea Party.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's fine. It's just been done a million times before. That's what they're all multimillionaires. This is just what they like to do.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, why stop if you still love doing it? Whatever.
yeah. But the crowds aren't showing up for the.
Yeah.
for the
They
new
just want
stuff.
the hits.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it feels
It's
like
all brilliant.
I don't know. That's just me. I'd get my goods and then get out and then just be an elder statesman that comes on different albums every once in a while, and
Yeah.
Joe Elliott who just comes on every once in a while and just does a song, instead of playing the Hard Rock Casino in Little Rock, Arkansas on a Tuesday night with nobody there, right?
Yeah.
Like, it tarnishes it a bit for me with those old bands that do that, not just Def Leppard,
Yeah. But at this point, I mean, after this many years, when it comes on the radio or when you put it on really good speakers, it still just makes you happy, and that's what matters. It has that magic dust on it you crank it on a really nice stereo with really good speakers, and it's gold. Even if you're not a big fan, it's gold.
I think that's a
right
wrap.
there. You got to end it.
There you go.
You just put a fucking bow on it, man.
Right there. 42 minutes.
Let's get
No, wait, I want to talk about the what's his face who left in 1979.
Go for it.
I don't know. Tony Ketting, the original.
Yeah. What happened to that guy?
That guy missed
out too. Him and Pete Willis. There, that's his name, Pete Willis. He did some other bands. He played with some guys from Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was
Really?
like, what happened to this guy later in life? And he's still alive. He's still kicking. So just
Yeah, I bet it's small circles over there though.
yeah. I don't know.
With that type of music, with
I'd
that
be
type of
pissed.
stuff.
Yeah.
How pissed would you be? You'd be so pissed at that.
I don't know. I mean, like,
If we kicked you
Yeah.
out of the band because you were drinking too much, and then we hired somebody who was drinking
replace
even
you with
worse,
two alcoholics, and then one guy dies.
you'd be pissed, man. Yeah, and we're hanging out with Michael Jackson and Madonna.
And that's why Dave Mustaine is still angry to this day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And he will never
Yeah.
let it go.
That's-
40 some odd years later.
That's that Dave Mustaine.
Yeah.
envy.
just that's
Green.
what brought it into the
Dark.
hanger right there.
Dark
Is the
green.
Dave Mustaine?
Yeah.
yeah.
There you go.
There you go. It's a wrap. 43 minutes in, done.
Thanks.
That's a wrap.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
All right, we want you guys to subscribe, share, and review this podcast. Keep it going, keep it strong, because we're having a great time entertaining you guys with B-Sides and Beers podcast.